Welcome, everybody, to the Grumpy Old Gamer podcast. This is, I think, episode 4, but I'm very tired, very old, and very grumpy, and I can't remember. Today, we're going to be talking about couch co-op, LAN parties, and all of those awesome memories from the golden age of gaming. I'm joined by Ian and Tim. Gentlemen, how are you doing?
Pretty good, buddy. Pretty bloody good.
Pleasure to be here.
I'm going to come to you first, Ian. Couch co-op or LAN parties or internet cafes? What do you remember about those old glory days?
Remember that in college, my sister was in part of this Tuesday night Halo night thing where all of her friends would get together and they'd have multiple Xboxes and multiple TVs that they would bring in and they would all play together. And she recruited me one day because there was this guy who apparently was just rocking everybody and needed, somebody to take care of him. So I showed up and I beat him pretty badly. But then he got a lot better than me, and then he ended up being my best man at my wedding. So
when you say you beat him pretty badly, you mean at Halo you didn't smash his face in because he was dating your sister?
No. But I did, put the fear of God into them, and in Halo Combat Evolved.
Man, Halo was the one that really got it for me. My mate, he lived in the middle of nowhere, and it was a lovely house, and we'd have the top floor. So his parents lived downstairs, and the whole top floor was me, him, his brother, and his brother's mates, and we could get about like 12 people. So we were lugging around these big ass TVs, trying to get like the setup correct. We were playing Halo, one person, like one TV in a room, one in another, and we managed to get it between like 3 rooms. And it got dangerous. It got really dangerous. We'd have 4 on each team for each TV. There was just insults. Things flying in between the rooms. I think one TV got destroyed. It was so much fun, but it was a bit of a logistical nightmare to set up.
These were the days when there was no internet, or it was severely lacking. So you had to either carry an Xbox or a GameCube or a PlayStation across to somebody's house, or heaven forbid, lug your beige box PC upstairs in the halls of residence for a university. That was my first experience of LAN parties, was playing Red Alert actually across I thought I was such a technical wizard across a LAN. I didn't even know what a LAN was.
And the Xbox was absolutely no joke. I remember moving that around to different houses. You're looking at, when you move something like that, there's a lot to move. You have the system itself, you have the TV, all of the controllers, the really big power block, the extra controller extensions. I mean, it's a whole thing. And then when you do the PC LAN party setup, you're setting up tables, you're bringing your, desktops, you're setting up monitors, you're engaged, like you're committed, like you're come hell or high water, you're going to be playing some games with that much effort put into it.
And that's the thing. I never really played outside of internet cafes. The computer setups, because none of my mates they didn't have computers. I was probably the only one. So it was all console based, but even though the Xbox weight-wise was a bit of a logistical nightmare, it was the best one for doing LAN parties. It had everything already built into it. It was just an absolute brick.
It was revolutionary, wasn't it, really? I mean, that was the first one that had a built-in Ethernet port as well, wasn't it?
Yep, yeah, it was. You had to get an adapter for the other ones, I think.
I always used to look down on Xbox people because I was a PlayStation boy myself, PlayStation man, and the Xbox was for boys. The Xbox certainly schooled the PlayStation in how to handle multiplayer gaming back in 2001.
It did. It had it all available. It was right there. And I mean, I think personally, especially with Halo, it revolutionized like console FPSs. But we'll be going down that way because it was probably one of the biggest 4 console LAN parties.
Did you not find it was really difficult, or could be really difficult, to get things set up? And it could be a couple of hours sometimes before you could get everything working.
I think if you got it down to about 20 minutes, you were pretty good. That's about the best you could hope for.
I'd agree. It was more just the moving of everything. Once everything was kind of in place, it was just connecting it up, and we'd done it so many times before. Like obviously the first time, nightmare, but once you got used to it, it was fine.
I mean, I was more of a multiplayer gamer rather than LAN parties. So Mario Kart, legendary multiplayer game. Just sat two people or more swapping controllers around, just sat on the couch and just taking it in turns on Rainbow Road. Absolutely loved it, and I think it's only when I was thinking about doing this episode that I thought back to how great those times were and how simple those times were.
I remember like some of the best times, man. Obviously before LAN and stuff like that, but GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, N64. Now that was good. That was really good. Obviously there was no LAN at that point, but you could also get an elbow to the bloody throat if you if you really sorted everyone, and that was the joy of it as well. Like you're all there, you're all lumped, looking at this awful TV, but not looking at the other screens and cheating. And you could see those people, and they didn't last very long, to put it bluntly. And that was kind of the beauty of it as well.
Yeah, you got really good at talking to people and saying all these insults to their face. You have to know what you can get away with saying to your friends because there's some things like a camping noob, you get to get away with some of that. A screen watching whore, I think, is a pretty common one. But I mean, there's an honor code though. Like, let's leave the mothers out of this.
Yes, yes, and I think mentioning honor there, that's really important. There was an honor code, even in terms of. I mean, I remember playing two-player FIFA, and it was a case of you've got your joypad in your hand and you're trying to move it out the way so your opponent can't see which way you're going to kick the ball when you take your penalty, so he knows which way to send his goalkeeper. And it was a case of stop looking, or a split screen, which of course there's not very many split screen games anymore, is there? Um, Being able to see exactly what your opponent could see, and how are you supposed to avoid cheating in inverted space commas when you can see exactly what the other person can see?
Cardboard.
I was actually going to say the same thing. Yes, there's. We never did it, but I have seen like pictures of people at LAN parties with like towels over their heads, looking at the bottom screen, and the person looking at the top screen, and it's like, oh man, we never went that far, but I know it was really a thing. It didn't matter with fighting games. That was probably the only genre that kind of worked, and racing games. Actually, thinking about it, that you didn't really have to worry about that.
I always remember Tekken on the original PlayStation. It was when I was at university, when I spent all of my student loan on a PlayStation and on a PC. And I remember getting Tekken and being able to scrape together enough pounds to be able to get a second controller. And the Tekken tournaments that we had until 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, just with lots of beer, lots of pizza, and just beating the hell out of each other, was just. Tim, I know that you've played Tekken online recently, but I don't think that it's as. So, word you use in I think it might have been in the first episode. You said about games had charm and they don't have charm anymore. And I don't think there's anything charming about fighting somebody on Tekken who's in another country compared to sitting next to your mate on the sofa, fighting it out and just doing the lap of honor when you win, or that kind of thing.
I wholeheartedly agree. The way I do it, I only play with friends. A lot of people play it online against like random people. I don't like that. I don't like it. We get on like say Discord or something. Sometimes we put it on the webcam and just play for hours. Just us doing 1v1, 1v1, 1v1. But as soon as he logs off or I log off, when I log off, sorry, he will still keep playing ranked online. And I don't like that. There's something, even though it's online compared to on the couch where you could like slap him in the face, like well played, and walk off grumpily. There's still talking shit, to put it bluntly, and that's what I like. I do like that. But when you're playing against just some random person, nah,
It's the same as a sports derby. It's the same as when Liverpool play Everton or when Man City play Man United or whatever the generic American generic sport generically is over there. When you have neighboring teams playing against each other, it means more. And I think I'd much rather sit next to my best mate and destroy him at Tekken, and then go home and practice so that the next time we played, I could destroy him even more. I'd much rather do that and enjoy the bragging rights of being able to beat him up on a computer than playing against some kid from, I don't know, Uzbekistan. I wouldn't find. I don't think I'd get any satisfaction out of that.
Well, on the other hand, you can always blame whenever you lose on the shitty controller that everybody inevitably had as their fourth controller, because everybody had like the first controller was the one that came with it, and then you bought a good one, and then it was a knockoff, and then it was the really bad knockoff, and you blame the controller first and foremost. I remember doing that a lot, and I also remember for the PlayStation 2, I remember getting that up to 4 players. There's something just kind of magical about overcoming obstacles together. And I remember playing specifically, it was, I believe, Baldur's Gate 2 or something like that. And we bought the extension port for the PlayStation 2. We had the extra controllers, and we had me and 3 of my friends all together, all conquering this game together. And it was just, it gave us all a sense of accomplishment and a sense of pride, I think.
And I think that's something which we haven't really mentioned so far, and that's the co-op side of things as well. So a lot of these games that we think back to, like Halo and Quake and Unreal Tournament, or racing games, Mario Kart, whatever, they're all very competitive, and there was, of course, a co-op side to that as well, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. And were you referring to Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, because I remember having that on console as well, and we did the same thing. Very different game to the one on the computer. But
Yes.
going back to what Al said, there was one game that always stuck out for me, and it's a GameCube game. It was called Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Such a good co-op game. I think you could play up to 4 players because the GameCube had 4 ports anyway. And I have such good memories of just being around. It's the same mates that had the when we did the LAN parties. It was so not Final Fantasy, but it was incredible.
Yeah, Crystal Chronicles was infamous because that was the one where, correct me if I'm wrong, you had to have a Game Boy Advance and you would use that as the controller.
Yeah, you could do that. They were trying to implement that in like quite a few games because you had to have Final Fantasy Tactics, I think, on the Advance, and then you could like also play that with it. But yeah, if not, you could just use it as a controller, which I don't know. We never really tried, but yeah, that was a great game. That's nostalgia right there that I'd just forgotten about. But yeah,
And I believe that they just came out with a remaster on that too.
have they really?
They have.
Oh, I'd be interested in that.
I don't know how the modern adaptation of that would work with the Game Boy Advance, with that interactivity like that, but
Did you ever play Worms?
Of course.
I'm not surprised that Tim said yes and Ian shook his head. For those who are listening to this, we can see each other and we're making rude gestures to each other all the time. Because it was a very British game, wasn't it? Team 17 was a developer.
Yep.
Worms was just iconic, and it was one of the first games I remember playing multiplayer because you could hot seat. I had it on PC, and you would take your turn, and then your opponent would sit in the seat, and he would take his turn. Turn-based strategy game, essentially, but so much fun, like with exploding sheep and rockets and wind and all that kind of stuff.
I remember playing Worms Armageddon. Worms Armageddon on the PlayStation. Yes, you could hot sweep it. And the first thing that pops to mind with that game, whoever got the perfect throw of the bloody holy hand grenade, such a great thing. And it is so demoralizing when you hear like hallelujah, boom, boom, you're done.
And that's it. And there was loads of humor as well. And I think that we don't see that as much as what we used to. We don't see humor in games anymore. Worms was known to just be a fun, hilarious game, just blowing people up. You'd sneak up behind them, put your dynamite down, run away, and the worm would laugh. And it was a real pleasure game to play. You didn't need this major setup. You didn't need 2 PCs. You didn't need 2 consoles. You didn't need 4 controllers. You just had you could just have one console. one PC, one keyboard, one mouse. It's all you needed to be able to play Worms in multiplayer. And you could play 4-player multiplayer with just one machine. I mean, can you think of any modern games which are like that, where you can take it in turns? I think we've moved away from that. We moved away from that simplicity, which I think is a bit of a shame, really.
Overwatch?
How would you do it with Overwatch? It's an FPS.
Answers in the comments, guys. If you listen to this, if you're the chap from Adelaide who listened to the podcast, thank you. Whatever your name is, probably Shane, something like that. Then stick a comment and tell us if you can think of any games which have that one machine multiplayer that's still available, because we are struggling to come up with anything at the moment.
Not in like past 15 years. I mean, split screen and everything. I think just even like console games have got rid of it. But actually, no. I tell a lie. I can think of one, and I had to mod my resolution for this, and it was actually Rocket League. My mate from the Netherlands came over. He stayed for like a few days. Really good friend of mine. I would have my main like monitor, and I would stretch the resolution to go over my TV, and you could split screen that game. But I can't think of anything else since then, honestly. And it's not a new game.
Moving on from those couch co-op golden days, we moved into online gaming really probably around 2002 with Xbox Live. I know there was limited PC online gaming at that point, but that was really the time when online gaming became mainstream, I think, in terms of it was readily accessible. Internet speeds had gone up. You could pay, I think was about $50 a year or something like that for an Xbox Live account, which only allowed you to play online. You didn't get any games. It wasn't like the PlayStation Plus store or whatever, the Xbox Marketplace or whatever they are now, where it's a subscription based with access to games. It was purely for access to play games online. As a non-Xbox player, I have no memories of that, but I imagine one of you two does.
I definitely do. I was in secondary school at this point. It was Halo 2 that really took off Xbox Live. It was revolutionary for console games in general, because I think Microsoft knew what they were doing with that, because they launched off the back of it, and then people were trying to catch up. Mainly people who were just making console like FPSs and stuff like that. They didn't know what to do with it. Whereas PC games being ported, I'm fairly sure there was a Counter-Strike port on the original Xbox, and let's just say it was awful, but they didn't know what to do about it.
I think it's funny that you bring up Halo 2, because I remember that was one game where we actually did throw a launch party, me and my friends, where we all got together and we were grilling out, and we got a couple TVs, and we were checking out this newfangled online networking. And I remember you had your gamer score that you had to keep up, and that was based off of your skill and your win to lose ratio. And much trash talk was made over your game score.
Yes, it was kind of brutal, because I remember the you're playing casual, blah blah blah, but if you played ranked, you needed to keep that up. And I remember at school we were like always saying, "Oh, I made it to this rank, I made it to this rank, made it to this rank." It wasn't easy, but it didn't require the LAN, and that was huge because everybody either had a PlayStation or an Xbox.
But this was the first time when you would encounter players from elsewhere in the world, isn't it, as well?
On console specifically, yes. Yeah.
With that, you've moved away from the friendly banter of couch co-op or LAN parties where it's your mates, where you know them very well, where you can say that Tim's sister's a slag and you'll laugh about it, and it's loads of fun. And you get to the point where you're playing against strangers who you don't know. And I think that a lot of the good vibes that existed in multiplayer gaming when it first started were lost once we went online.
I'd agree. Then you'd find that one person who you'd get along with, and you'd add them, and then you'd build up parties of like your friends and their friends. But of course, you're going to get the arseholes. Like every online game, you'll get that. That's generally why, even when I play now, I'll just mute the lobby. I'm not in the mood for that. I want to shoot in the face. I don't want to listen to your shit.
And it's a pretty terrible combination when you have teenagers and you give them complete anonymity and put them in rooms with people that they're only going to spend 30 seconds of their lives with, they're going to say terrible, terrible things.
Agreed.
What's the worst insult you've had online whilst playing a game?
I can't say that out loud, mate. I don't want us to.
You can say it out loud because, if necessary, I can just bleep it.
Oh, okay.
Cum guzzling gutter slut.
Okay, well, this is going to include racial slurs. Maybe not. But let's just say it was bad. It was really, really bad. I didn't care. It's because I'd won. But it was like, oh, what does that say about you, mate? You know?
I just love the cultural difference here because Ian in America is like, I'm a cum guzzling gutter slut, and Tim's like, oh, it's bad. I can't possibly say it.
Or
Might
yeah,
offend somebody.
like even for us, we can say see you next Tuesday, right, left, and center, and it's fine. For us, it was bad.
How did you find matchmaking worked back then? Because I suppose you're getting to the point where if I was playing couch co-op against my mate who I went to school with or went to college with, went to university with, then that's my opponent. And you grew together. One of you was more skilled than the other. But of course, when you went online, they had to devise a system where you were playing against people of equal skill. What are your experiences of that when that was first a system in its infancy?
See, now that's the thing. As I said, with Halo, that's the main one I really played online because we all played it, like Halo 2. The skill system was actually really good in that. And because we were playing it after school, the majority of us now, we were kind of like around about the same rank, apart from one mate who was just had like he was made of money, let's put it that way. He had like a big ass TV in his living room. It was like a 60-incher back then, which was quite impressive to put it bluntly.
It's
And
a
he could
cinema.
essentially, yes, essentially. And he could use his like reticle and just be super accurate. So he ranked well above us. But when you go into a group, we actually did a lot of like the community stuff. So it was us playing against each other. But when we were going into like say casual games, it didn't matter. And because everyone was playing Halo 2, it would take 15 seconds to find a match. Not long at all.
With Halo, I mean, the more that you play with people, the closer you get. So if you're playing with people who are a lot better than you, you're going to get a lot better, and they're probably going to get a little worse, honestly. But
Yes.
that's why the guy that I showed up to the party where I had to kick his ass at Halo 2, um, I mean, he ended up being better than I was because I guess I just had to show him the secrets of how to kill people with Halo 2 guns.
The one thing that I really do miss about it, because the internet was still kind of crap at that point, but finding glitches in multiplayer games was well a thing. That was so much fun, and Halo was full of that. I think the developers either left it in like subtly or ignored it, but like you'd play some games where no one actually was going to shoot each other. They were just trying to glitch the thing out to see what they could do. And that was kind of the magic of it as well, because you couldn't just go online and find this. It's like, look, I found this thing, and it's kind of goes into myth, and I kind of miss that, you know.
So do you think that this marks the end of local multiplayer?
I think there's always going to be a home for some local multiplayer. I think games like It Takes Two really show that there is still a market for that. But even that game is still you could play it online. You didn't have to have it. You didn't have to be necessarily in the same room with people.
I also really think it depends on the game. Like, going back to what you were saying, Al, Tekken, prime example. I prefer to be sat in a room playing with my mate type thing. I don't think that's dead. I think fighting games have got that sword. You can even look at the tournaments and stuff like that, you know? That, and racing games, actually. Racing games, your example earlier, Mario Kart, that is still prime up there. But for the majority of other games, as I said, they're not even putting in split screen anymore. So on that point, fighting, racing, sure. Other genres, I think they've gone away.
I can't go back, man. I mean, I was playing Baldur's Gate 3 with my friends, and I was just so spoiled having the entire screen myself. I would have been going crazy if I had to share a screen playing an RPG. I remember Diablo 3 suffered from that when it went to the console. It was very difficult to play split screen and actually get anything done.
And that's the thing. The technology has moved on in such a way. You can start a multiplayer game. I mean, as an example, Tim and I a couple of weeks ago jumped online with a couple of the guys. One from I think the Netherlands and one from Argentina, and we were playing Left 4 Dead 2, and it was a case of we're on Discord today. Anybody fancy a game? I fancy playing some Left 4 Dead. Yeah, sure thing. And then within a minute, we're from three corners of the globe, we are engaged in playing a game cooperatively together and had a really, really good time. And I think that I don't know whether I would want to go back to the pain of local co-op gaming after I've played multiplayer online gaming.
I think that's completely valid as well. I mean, I think at this point it's pure nostalgia. I miss nostalgia, and I do miss like internet cafes, like having 20 of your mates. You rent it out for like 24 hours. We used to do that, and there was a buzz there. But going back to what you were saying about Left 4 Dead, half of us didn't have it installed, and bing, within 2 minutes, everyone had it installed, done and dusted.
Mhm.
There is a beauty to that, you know. It's so much easier. But that's it. Actually, that's my point. It's just so much easier.
It's that accessibility, isn't it? We say because everything is just so super fast now and it's so online all the time, it's just so accessible. We just say, well, actually, I haven't played it for 3 years, but within 30 seconds it's installed, and within another 30 seconds you're in a lobby. The technology has moved on because all of those times since 2001, 2003, whatever, has taught the people in 2025 how best to make an experience great. That you're online and you're playing in no time at all from the comfort of your own home. You've not got to travel to Argentina or to the Netherlands, although I'd quite happily go to the Netherlands again. But you're not having to do that. You just say, right, let's do it, and then you're away.
One major silver lining of the way that we do things now with everything being online is that the connectivity. I mean, one of my best friends is some guy that I met, a couple of years ago playing Fallout 76, and he's one of my best friends to this day. Tim just gave me a dirty look.
Yeah, Fallout 76. I'll just leave it at that.
It got better. It got better.
Was that your really bad English accent, was it?
That was the Monty Python, yeah. She turned me into a newt. I got better.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah. Is there a button on your microphone that will mute you? Because never mind. Because just fucking press it, because there's nothing funny going on here.
Actually, no. Actually, I've got a valid point going back to the original Halo 2 now. Thanks for reminding me. Awful British accents online.
As in people pretending to, or just...
Oh, hello, I'm English. Yeah.
Hello, governor.
See, that wasn't the worst.
Thank you.
No, that wasn't the worst, but it's all right, Tim, because I'll be wielding the editing knife, so we'll just cut all this shit out. It's absolutely fine.
Valid.
So there's been lots of really good things which have come from the move to online multiplayer gaming, but there's also been some negatives as well. And I always struggle to say this word: toxicity. And I think that cum guzzling gutter slut and all these other insults. You could have some 12-year-old in Edmonton in Canada telling you that he's going to fuck your mother because you beat him at a particular game or whatever. And that would never happen playing with your mates. But then suddenly you're exposed to every single arsehole on the planet who wants to play games. And I just think it's been... There's lots of negatives that have come out of that.
There is. Like what Ian said, it's just being anonymous online. And it can get frustrating. And also going back to what I was saying earlier, I just mute lobbies now. I'll keep my friends unmuted, but I'll just instantly just mute a lobby. That's it. Not in the mood. Getting too old for that. Literally getting too old for that, you know?
Welcome to Grumpy Old Gamer, where we're getting too old for that shit.
Essentially, yes.
And I think a big part of the Xbox behavior just came from the fact that there's absolutely no consequences. Like, you could say the most hateful, hurtful shit you've ever thought of in your entire life to this complete stranger, and be in a different match in 30 seconds. Zero consequences. And there's complete anonymity. So I think that created just a really toxic environment from the get go.
Yeah, I've had this conversation in the past with some other people about multiplayer games, and I've said that I tend to avoid multiplayer games. I don't mind co-op. I think that's a different experience, but competitive multiplayer and the level of toxic behavior that you see, that is enough to. And I'm no tree hugger. I'm 47 years old. I've seen lots of death and destruction in my life, and I wouldn't say that I'm thin-skinned, but I just can't be asked to put up with the attitude of some people online. And I think that my experiences that I've had, which have been negative, have colored my expectations to the degree that I just avoid it now.
I'm going to use an example. I love playing Counter Strike, but these days I only play it 2v2, even ranked 2v2, because you have to get along with your teammate. And when something's done right, you compliment each other. You don't have to worry about those three other people who are like, "Oh, why did you do that?" Blah 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 blah. You need to rely on each other. That I actually don't mind. I don't mind that at all. I Probably 99% of the games that I've played 2v2 has actually been a positive environment. That sounds so ridiculous and pretty but it's true.
What was that?
Oh, I was going to say pathetic.
No, but you're right. And I think that there are positive experiences to have, but you've got to limit who you're exposed to.
Agreed. Completely agreed. Yep.
Like another guy that I know, he's huge into League of Legends, and he says that the amount of vitriol that he encounters on there is excruciating sometimes. But he says that he's also developed quite a thick skin as a result of putting up with it. But why should you have to? And I think there's a lack of moderation. I think that there needs to be more done to protect people who want to come online, especially when you've got kids playing these games as well, and they're being exposed to harmful behaviours. And I know I sound like a bit of an old man there, but I am an old man, so it's fine. But it's like GTA Online, massive, huge for Rockstar. It's probably kept Grand Theft Auto 5 going for the last 10 years. But the exposure that kids who shouldn't be playing that game are being exposed to is quite shocking, really, some of the things that they'll see.
Yeah, I was actually you made a really good point about League of Legends. That is a game, obviously it's free to play. I'm going to use Warzone as well as an example. They're both free to play, and I feel like the free to play games, that's where you get the most toxicity. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? You get your account banned, you're going to make a new account. And I know League of Legends, if it's not 7+, it's 13+. It's like, what are you going to do? Of course, you're going to have kids playing it, and then get into the toxicity. I was going to say earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt you. Good song. And what do you expect to happen?
One thing we also have to look at is the skills that we developed from being forced to all be online. Problem solving, learning to coordinate with strangers, completely quickly, being quick on the text and the chat so they could effectively and quickly communicate. And like leadership skills the people gain in guild management. Like some guilds I've seen like hundreds of people. It's crazy. That's a full-time job taking care of that.
This goes back to another conversation we've had, but this is why I'll never go back to EVE Online. Like trying to command 1,000 people in a fleet operation is, I'm not sure I'd want to do that anymore. But you're completely right. It does build leadership skills and put people in their place, but you don't need to be disrespectful about it. It's just do your job. That's my point,
But there is a huge community aspect to this. And I think that gets overlooked sometimes. And you mentioned guilds and things like that. And I think there is a real sense of community that comes from people who have a shared experience of playing these games. And these could be people who are the other side of the world. You could be playing against people from Russia, from Ukraine. You could have people from Russia, Ukraine playing against each other. And even though there's a conflict going on, they're not interested in the conflict. They're interested in playing in whatever virtual world that they're involved in. And that escapism, I think, does a lot to unify. This sounds a bit flowery, but it makes the world smaller.
I see what you mean, but yes, it does. Even mobile games. Literally, you can do the same thing with that. Everything's at your fingertips, metaphorically and literally. It does make the world a smaller place. And actually, that's a really good example of Ukraine and Russia. Yeah, because of course they're still going to be playing against each other, but they don't give a shit. They just want to enjoy
No.
themselves. It's escapism. Yeah.
And they get to express their culture to each other through bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's not happening already, but yeah.
So one thing I want to talk about, which I never really got to experience because I worked all through this, is the well-known global pandemic of 2020, when people were sat on their fat asses at home whilst I went to work still. This would have been a time when people were really getting into online gaming because they had nothing else to do.
I was a lucky person sitting on my fat ass. I was furloughed. And yeah, it really got me back into gaming. It was actually really nice because you could kind of log on whenever, same like Discord or whatever, and there'd always be people online. Everybody was in the same boats, and I think it also brought more people to gaming, as you said. It was just something to do. Like, what were you going to go out, touch grass? Like, literally, it's banned. Stop it! Don't do that.
Yeah.
There was so many, like, whoever released the game around about that time must have been making bank. I can't think of any, like, as an example, but however unfortunate it is, they probably made absolutely loads.
Maybe it's just a conspiracy and the whole thing was just Chinese game developers deciding to eat monkeys or fuck monkeys or whatever they did in order to start the whole thing, in order to sell their games.
Didn't Fortnite come around about that time?
Hmm. Not that we're suggesting, dear listener, that there's any link between fucking a monkey and liking Fortnite.
No, we're not saying that at all. But who knows?
So there are some things that we've lost, and I think it's fair to say that there are some things that we've lost. You know, there was an honor system. You know, in terms of not looking at the controller, not looking at the screen, being able to take the piss out of each other, being able to not be a blowhard and celebrate too strongly, you know, be gracious in victory. But at the same time, if you weren't gracious in victory, know that it wasn't going to be taken badly because these were your friends that you were playing against. And I think we've lost that, you know. What other things do you, if you think back to not the actual games, but the things which were connected to that whole LAN party couch co-op multiplayer experience, what things do you think when you look back that you really miss from then?
Probably looking at it through like rose tinted goggles, but like just going out and getting like food as well, or getting like a pizza delivered and not having to worry about anything. Obviously, most of them were like over the weekends, so no school or anything like that. Just get lots of like Dr. Pepper, just get some Dominoes, and then you know what? You're playing with your mates, you're going to be staying over there, and you wake up the next day and you could probably do the damn same thing. I miss that kind of like, what's camaraderie? Camaraderie? I can't say it properly, but
Camaraderie.
That's the one. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I miss that. I do miss that.
But I also think, Tim, that the amount of effort that went into making these events happen in terms of, as you say, even carrying an Xbox and its power pack across and maybe a spare TV, which is a huge CRT thing. Nothing flat screen, which weighs a couple of grams. It's an enormous thing. And the amount of effort that went into making these things happen, I think that made them special. Because I think you realized the commitment and the effort that went into it, that you just appreciated it more. I think that nowadays it's just all very throwaway. If you're not enjoying it, just log off. You know, whatever. I'm not interested anymore. Just hit Alt F4 if necessary, and you know, go and take a bath or whatever. You know, whereas I think that back then the amount of work that you put into it made these moments that you guys and maybe we remember them. And you remember them for the rest of your days, and you won't remember that random Saturday night where you were playing Tekken against someone from Pakistan or wherever, like you were playing against Phil from down the road, Halo 2, at the top of his house.
And some of our younger viewers might not know like what CRT monitors are or how big and heavy those damn things were. But These were like 60 pounds plus, I think, for these TVs, about on average. Plus, if you have a desktop or a gaming PC or an Xbox, that's going to be a lot of weight. Just the effort it takes to get all of your friends together, to assemble them together. You got the LAN party up. You overcame all the technical difficulties and figured out all of how to, get everybody connected on the same level, and just a sense of accomplishment because it's something that you guys did as a group, and you guys could be playing against each other, you could be playing, with each other. It doesn't really matter, but it's still something that you guys did as a group.
There's another small little thing, and I'm not sure. Well, it probably did happen in a lot of LAN parties, but people burning CDs, making custom soundtracks for that LAN party alone. Also, a great way to find like new music. Just small little things that escalate into like just a really brutal sometimes, but fantastic environment.
But there are improvements. I know we say these are things that were great back then and we missed them, but there are improvements. Now I'm 47, 48 coming up. I didn't have the internet when I was a child. It was something which came when I was in my very, very late teens. So I don't have childhood friends from 2,000 miles away. But younger listeners to this will probably have people that they played games with, and Tim, as the child of the group, may also have friends from other countries thousands of miles away that he remembers playing games with when he was much younger, and he's still in touch with them now. And that's a real positive, a real bonus of what we have now, is that ability to connect with people that you would never ever come into contact with.
That's perfectly right. And I've met quite a few of them. In fact, one of them came to a festival with me. First time we met in real life, we went to Bloodstock. I think it was like 2011. Got along like a house on fire. All of my mates as well, like accepted him into the group. Kind of, they knew of him, but I was like, oh,
Mm.
is Dutchy coming over? He'll be all right. He'll be all right. And I met, yeah, quite a few of them in real life, and yeah, still well in touch. And yeah, there was something about it,
Hmm.
One other silver lining is that you don't have to worry about your friends getting mad and chucking your controller into the screen
Oh,
because
yeah,
they
valid.
Mm. Yeah, I wonder how many owners of the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series S or X these days have more than one controller.
I would
Uh,
think most of them.
yeah, I would have thought a
Most of
few,
them,
surely.
really, because as we've just said, it's very limited now, very limited by comparison to what's online is your local co-op. So most people's experience of multiplayer gaming now is going to be online because, as we've said, it is so easy to do. Why would you need a second controller unless, of course, you've thrown your first controller at the wall because it's the controller's fault, not your fault, that you're terrible at that particular game, which, of course, happens a lot.
That's a really valid point, actually. I hadn't thought about it. I mean, my last console was the 360. Don't say it, PlayStation, blah blah blah. But yeah, what is the point in having more than one controller unless you're prone to breaking them?
Well, if they're wireless, you can have one charging while you use one, and
Yeah, I guess so.
That's some commitment to gaming, mate. If you're going through two controllers in a day, it's like.
I've got a PC.
So there are good things. There are good things, but maybe we are romanticizing a little bit because it's the same as we talked about in episode 1, where we talked about is gaming shit now, right? And I think that we agreed that gaming's not what it was, but it's a lot better now than what we perhaps want to admit as grumpy old gamers. And maybe a lot of what we're doing, it is nostalgia, it is rose tinted glasses. We are looking back and saying, oh, things were so great back then, but maybe they actually weren't as great as what we think they are when we have it so easy these days to be able to go online and play with our friends.
Logistically, it was a lot harder, which I think in the long run, it made it feel like it was more of an impact. But yes, the ease of access I think is what it is just, hey, I'm going to play this game. Boop, you want to join me? Yeah, boop, done.
to an extent, you can say that online gaming really saved gaming because without it, you would have been disconnected from your friends. You lost that connectivity that you would have from being shoulder to shoulder with your friends on the couch.
As somebody who's almost exclusively a single player gamer, I'm going to disagree with you. But I like disagreeing with you. I do it quite a lot, don't I?
Yeah, we do.
I'll try and agree with you next episode. Okay. What are we covering next episode?
It's first person shooter evolution. We're going to be talking about everything from GoldenEye to Call of Duty.
So that's the next episode then from the Grumpy Old Gamer. That'll be episode 5, which will come out in 2 weeks' time. FPS evolution from GoldenEye to whatever the latest crackpot shit job FPS is out at the moment. Hope you've enjoyed listening to this, dear listener, especially the chap in Newark, New York. Thank you for listening. It's appreciated. If you go to gog.fm, that's our main website, and I've done some work. I've made it look all nice and pretty. There's all links to listening to the podcast. There's all links to the episodes. You can see what crap we've talked about in the past. And there's also links to our Discord, to our Steam group, to our Twitch channel, to all of our social media. So you can go on there and you can get in touch with us. Come and join the Discord in particular, because we would like to play games with you and tell you that your mother's a whore and that you're shit and words to that effect, but we mean it in a loving way because we're really nice fellas, honestly. Thanks very much for listening. If you're on YouTube, please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave us a comment, tell us that you think we're completely wrong or if you think we're completely right. Your opinion doesn't matter anyway, so just tell us what you think. It's appreciated. And we will see you next time. So Ian, thank you very much for joining me and being completely wrong as usual.
Somebody's got to do it. Shit.
This is true. And Tim, thanks very much. Appreciated.
My pleasure, mate. My pleasure. It's nice being right, isn't it?
It's always nice being right. That's just a British thing. Something that Ian will never understand. But on that note, we'll say goodbye. We are the Grumpy Old Gamer. Thanks very much for listening. Peace.